Ahoy mates, Julie here, and welcome to Monday's episode of The Boaters TV. First up today, we've got some Barcelona World Race news in our smooth sailing segment. If you've been following the Barcelona World Race, you no doubt heard about last week's scary close encounter, near collision, between Team Hugo Boss and a merchant cargo ship. Apparently, skipper Alex Thomson had spotted the oncoming ship when she was still a good 5 miles away. So, why did the two boats remain on a collision course for so long? Well, the fault goes to the cargo ship. According to the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, published by the IMO, every vessel must at all times keep a proper lookout by sight, hearing, and all available means in order to judge if risk of collision exists. And although the crew on Hugo Boss was keeping a proper lookout, the commercial ship was not. They even failed to see the flares that Alex Thomson and Andrew Cape launched shortly after spotting it. Secondly, those same regulations state that, except in narrow channels, traffic schemes, and when overtaking, a power-driven vessel must give way to a sailing vessel. Again, fault goes to the cargo ship, whose responsibility it was to steer away from the sailing Open 60. It never happened. The duo aboard Hugo Boss did try to avoid the collision, but powerful racers like an IMO CA Open 60 can't be handled like a car. When the team tried simply altering their course by a few degrees, the vessel ended up on its side, and Thomson and Cape nearly ended up in the water. Now, they did make it out all right, and good news is it didn't affect their position. From December 6th to the 7th, Hugo Boss set a new 24-hour record for monohulls up to 60 feet. And as of December 7th, they were running in 4th place, only 6.2 hours behind the leader, French team PRB. Next up, in our Wet and Wild segment, mermaids are no longer just under the sea. They are making a splash in Miami, too. Now, is it not every male mariner's dream that you could one day be rescued by a mermaid, like Tom Hanks was in the movie Splash? Well, move over Daryl Hannah, because we found some sexy sea nymphs making some tail-waving waves at parties and events. Meet the Miami Mermaids, made up of 3 mer-people: Mermaid Medina, Mermaid Misty, and even a mer-male, Martini. This trio can be hired to swim in your pool or simply hang around, as they call it, shipwrecked, where there's no pool or water. It all started when Mermaid Medina and her friends decided to do something a little different for a girls' night out. Instead of hitting up the clubs, they started hitting up Miami hotel pools, donning mermaid costumes. To learn more about them, or even book them for your next event, visit miamimermaids.net. I also recommend having a look at their MySpace page, where, in their Top Friends section, you'll find signs of what I'll almost call an entire underground, or rather undersea, mermaid culture, kind of like how people get into pirates or ninjas. Check it out at myspace.com/Miami Mermaids. Not only are they friends and sponsors of the Florida Keys Marine Mammal Rescue Team, but you'll also find other mermaid pals like Angela, Garnett, and even the Mer Prince. Yep, mermaids are everywhere. Next up, it's on to our Ship Shape segment, where we've got some tips for keeping sailboats afloat. Sailing. Such a relaxing and fulfilling activity. That is, unless failure to properly maintain your vessel causes an issue and your boat sinks. Whoops. When studying their insurance case files for sailboats, Boat US found that 40% of the sinkings on file were caused by vessels striking a submerged object, say like another sunken boat. Another 16% of reported sinking cases held that it was a broken prop shaft or strut that was responsible. something that Marine Insurance Technical Director Bob Adrians tells us seems to be a bigger issue with sailboats than with powerboats, mainly because sailboats are typically not run as often, so corrosion sets in. Well, luckily, Boat US has some advice to help prevent your boat from becoming another statistic. 1. Anytime your boat hits bottom, immediately inspect the bilge and keel bolts or centerboard pennant and hinge. Then, double check it later. 2. Routinely inspect all below the waterline fittings, hoses, and hardware. If the fitting isn't long enough, it's a good practice to have 2 marine-rated stainless steel clamps on all hose ends. 3. Stuffing boxes should never leak at rest. Replace the packing if leaking persists after the packing gland nut has been tightened. 4. Hole fittings or hoses above the waterline may appear safe. However, be sure to check them. They can leak when heeled over in a seaway or when ice forces hit them. And 5. Remember that a winter hull out is the perfect time to inspect that prop shaft and cutlass bearing. If you guys have any tips of your own to prevent sailboat sinkings, feel free to share them with us over at the forums on theboaters.com. And finally today, it's time to reveal Julie's theboaters.com celebrity profile pick of the day, which is, goodness, another one of those proud Marinette owners, Captain Dennis. Actually, that's Diver Dennis, and his 1975 Marinette Express Surface Interval. Based up in DeWitt, Michigan, Dennis is a PADI advanced diver, scuba DVD producer, and underwater videographer. Hey Dennis, ever seen any mermaids? And check out that complete profile. You guys want to know how to win one of those The Boaters hats? You should definitely study Dennis's example. Places, blogs, photos, oh my. And that's a wrap on this episode of The Boaters TV. Be sure to check back on Wednesday. And until then, safe and happy boating to you all. Take care. For all you know, I am a mermaid. Think about it. You never see me from the waist down on this show.